Happy Victory Monday, Bears fans. We got a Lamar Jackson injury update as the Ravens are the next team on the schedule. Most assumed he'd be back, and he still might, but didn't practice today. More on him in just a moment. We got some Bears injury news. I think some good news when it comes to a couple of key players that left yesterday's game against the Saints. And are the Bears getting disrespected despite a 4-game winning streak? We'll dive into all of this. My name is Harrison Graham. Let's start with Lamar, who John Harbaugh declared before the bye week that he and Roquan Smith would be back for this Bears game. Looks like Roquan is going to be. More on him in a second. But the Ravens, who returned to the practice facility today after the bye week, did not have their quarterback on the practice field. He was one of two players who did not practice. Jeff Zrebiec, who's been covering the Ravens for a long time, tweeted out that Lamar is still not practicing as he's dealing with that hamstring injury. Last time when he got injured, by the way, that was 22 days ago. And then Tavius Robinson, who has a broken bone in his foot, is not going to play, was not out there either. Jamison Hensley added this after practice when John Harbaugh talked to the media. He declined to say whether Lamar Jackson will practice this week, saying he didn't want to comment on individual players. And he was asked if he is expected for Lamar to play Sunday. He said, quote, same answer. So is John Harbaugh, playing that whole I'm not going to give anything away game, or is he unsure? Because it's weird to go into the bye week saying, yeah, Lamar's going to be back. We're going to get some key guys back. And then you get back, talk to the media for the first time for the new game week, and yeah, I'm not going to answer that question. That's a little bit odd to me. So Wednesday will be pretty telling because that's when the first injury report drops. We'll obviously see if Lamar does anything at practice. My gut tells me he will play, but my gut also tells me that the Ravens kind of just assumed on the bye week the hamstring would be fully healed, and maybe it's not. And maybe that's why Harbaugh is a little reluctant to give more to the media. Again, I think we'll know more on Wednesday, obviously. And listen, this would be a huge development because Cooper Rush has been horrific in the 2 games he's had to start as Lamar's backup. Tyler Huntley, who always finds his way back on the Ravens, he's on their practice squad. He's been elevated the last couple of games, and they went to him late in that Rams game, and he was a little more effective. So I wouldn't be shocked if he started if for some reason Lamar can't play. But either way, even if it's Huntley, who seems to play decent with Baltimore, monumental drop-off. I mean, it is just not the same at all. You're talking about an MVP caliber player versus a bad backup right now in Cooper Rush, or a guy who's bounced around practice squads recently in Tyler Huntley. I know Tyler Huntley beat the Bears, 4 years ago in that awful 16-13 game. Don't need to revisit that, but Tyler Huntley was also playing much better football those days than he has in recent years. Other injury news for the Ravens, all these players were back at practice and are tracking towards playing this week. Roquan Smith, who missed a couple of games there, more on him in a second. Chidobe Awuzie, Devontae Walker, Ronnie Stanley, that's big, the left tackle obviously, and then Patrick Ricard, the fullback, who they obviously use on a lot of those ISO runs with Derrick Henry as a lead blocker. We are getting the Roquan revenge game. He is motivated to play this game. He was asked today if he's playing. He said yes. I think I don't know if a torn ACL would keep him off the field this week. This is his first game back against the Bears after Ryan Poles traded him amid contract disputes in his first year as the GM, and that was controversial at the time. It hasn't aged that well, as Roquan has been very good for the Ravens. Now, I will say, right here, right now, the Bears are actually getting terrific linebacker play, but I would say for the last couple of years, while TJ Edwards has obviously been pretty good, Tremaine Edmonds has clearly been overpaid. We've always wondered, should they have just kept Roquan? Would that have made more sense overall? And I'll just ask you guys, do you miss Roquan Smith? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I do, but I also understood to an extent the logic at the time. I mean, I still would have paid him. You're talking about, to me, other than Fred Warner, he's been the best off-ball linebacker over the last 5 or 6 years from a consistency standpoint in the NFL. But I will say at this exact moment, TJ and Tremaine are playing really well together, so that'll be an interesting dynamic on Sunday with Roquan going up against the Bears for the first time since the trade. Okay, guys, Brunt. The best working boots in the game come from Brunt. They're the best I've ever used, believe me on that. Choosing work boots used to mean sacrificing comfort or durability. if they felt good, they didn't last, and if they lasted, they wrecked your feet. I've tried a bunch of them over the years. Brunt thought that was BS. So they built tough boots that feel great from day one. As a homeowner, there's always projects around the house to work on, and Brunt's boots are no doubt the most comfortable work boots I've ever worn. And they felt comfortable right out of the box, which I appreciate. Normal shoes don't always feel comfortable out of the box, but Brunt's boots do. But they're not just comfortable. They're built to perform, whether you need waterproof, safety toe, soft toe, pull on, or lace up. They've got options that can handle whatever job site you're walking into. Before I found Brunt, I can't tell you how many different working boots I tried and went through. I always was left with either foot pain, blisters, or even if they were comfortable, they just didn't last very long. They weren't waterproof, whatever the case was. Just didn't last as long as I needed them to. And right now, for a limited time only, we have an awesome deal for you guys. You can get $10 off at Brunt when you use our code CHAT at checkout. Go to bruntworkwear.com, use code CHAT, you're good to go. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work way too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better, boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners, like I said, get $10 off with Brunt with code CHAT, C-H-A-T. Go to bruntworkwear.com, use code CHAT, you're good to go. After you order, tell them we sent you Bears Now by Chat Sports, and we would greatly appreciate it. That code and link to Brunt are in the comments and description of this video. Okay, let's get to some Bears injury updates here. We've been waiting all day. What's going on with Tyrique Stevenson? What's going on with Kmet? Two key starters that left the Bears-Saints game with various injuries. For Tyrique, it's a shoulder, and for Kmet, it's a back injury. Ben Johnson said today that the early belief is that both these guys are in the day-to-day realm, not the week-to-week realm, which means both should have a chance to play on Sunday. He also said we'll know more Wednesday, so there might be some more testing that has to take place. But I would say on the surface, really good news, because if it was long term, I think they would have a better idea about it. This would be a huge break if neither of these guys miss time. Even if it's like a game for one or both these guys, that's still a huge break, especially for Tyrique Stevenson, man. Like, you're thin at corner. This guy has stepped up in a major way with Jalen Johnson going down. He's played at times like a true CB1 and for sure like a quality starter this year, especially since week 2. So proud of him for that, and the Bears need him out there. Obviously, for Kmet, not a ton of production from a receiving tight end standpoint, but he and Colston Loveland, while they would love to get more action in the passing game, they've both been blocking their ass off, so obviously you want Kmet out there too. I said it earlier today, if he's able to go, he's going to go. He's never missed a game in his career. He's tough as hell, so, unless there was a fracture in the back, I would have expected him to play. So if he truly is in that day-to-day realm, he may not practice much, but I'm guessing he suits up on Sunday. Some other injuries to watch. Obviously, Grady Jarrett sounds like he could have gone this week, but with the wet conditions at Soldier Field, they opted to hold him out, being an older player. Probably a good decision. Should be back this upcoming Sunday. Obviously, Cairo Santos, what's going on with this kicker situation through one game? I thought it was a bit early to declare a potential kicker controversy. I don't know if we're there yet, but I'll say what I said last week. If Cairo is not 100%, with him having a weak leg and a right thigh injury, I'm not kicking him. So I would expect Jake Moody for another week if that's the case. They have one more practice squad elevation they can use for him, and then, maybe you make a decision after that. Austin Booker, Eamon Ogbongbemiga still on short-term IR. Both their practice windows have been open. For Booker, they got to make a decision this week. If they don't activate him, he is out for the season. Because you have 21 days, and it was open 2 weeks ago. So it's now or never for the Bears with Booker. Ben was asked, was there a setback? And he said, no, we felt comfortable with the rotation that we were heading into these last 2 game days with. But he then also added today, quote, I think he's going to be able to help us. So barring something unforeseen, I think they're going to activate him. I think part of that might just be Dominique Robinson's kind of turned a corner as a player. Like, he's actually done some nice things. So I still would activate him. This pass rush is not productive enough to just call it a season for Austin Booker. I don't know what he'll give them, but I think you got to get him onto the 53 and find out. Ogbongbemiga, I don't think it's as urgent. Other than Noah Sewell, you're pretty healthy at linebacker. I thought special teams were much better this week, and that's his primary role. So I don't think that one is quite as urgent. Hippolyte's been a healthy scratch the last 2 weeks, so I don't think Eamon O is like a must activate, but when they open his practice window, you figure that's going to happen at some point, and I would guess either Carl Jones or DeMarco Jackson to be the player that would get cut in that instance. Okay, enough injury stuff. Are the Bears getting disrespected? Look, I fully expected Chicago to be an underdog this week. Ravens are coming off a bye week. Vegas still really likes them. I mean, they're not even like – they still could win the AFC North, based on that division, and Vegas still thinks it's pretty close between them and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh losing that game to Cincinnati on Thursday night last week kind of reopened the door for Baltimore despite being 1-5. Lamar is expected to come back. We'll see if that ends up being the case, obviously. So I understand the Bears being a dog. It's not like the Bears are some established, proven contender or something like that. 6.5 is a little rich, though. I mean, the Ravens have key guys that are not returning, like Nnamdi Madubuike, for example. So I don't think this is like some obvious, like the Bears have no shot spot. I mean, almost a touchdown in the NFL, that's a large number. So I already thought for you, gamble responsibly, obviously, plus 6.5, I think that's good value with Lamar. If Lamar doesn't play, I mean, it's almost worth an early week sprinkle just in case he doesn't play, a little money line play, because if he's out, then, I mean, to me, that's like a pick 'em, if not a slight favor for the Bears based on how Cooper Rush has played and even Tyler Huntley. So, look, I get it. I expected to be a dog. I thought they'd be like 3.5, 4-point dog to open up. 6.5, though? Like, I get the Bears aren't playing perfect football, but they've won 4 games in a row. It's the longest win streak in the NFC. And the Ravens are 1-5. Regardless of how that is the case, a touchdown is a lot. So we'll see if that changes throughout the week. This is an empty the tank game for Baltimore. They have to win it to keep their season alive. I get all of the angles. I just think a touchdown's a little high. But Vegas has not loved the Bears so far this year. So betting on the Bears recently has been a good play. That line last week against New Orleans came down to 3.5. They won by 12. They were a healthy underdog against Washington, beat them outright. So, maybe the Bears just embrace this underdog mentality, go into Baltimore and find a way to get a 5th straight win. So we'll see what happens. I think this is a tough spot for the Bears if Lamar plays. Ravens coming off the bye, like I mentioned, empty the tank spot for them. But, hey, Bears are vibing right now. I'd be crazy to say they don't have a chance. And when Vegas gives a team a touchdown head start, that's usually an indicator that they don't think the Bears have much of an opportunity here. All right, predict the score. Bears, Ravens. Who wins? What is the final score going to be? I won't have my first prediction until we do our preview episode, so you'll have to wait for mine. But you guys let me know who wins and what is the score going to be. All right, plenty of news there. Good to see the Tyrique Stevenson, Kmet early updates. Again, we'll know more on Wednesday, but I think that's trending in the right direction, so that's positive news. We'll continue to monitor that situation and bring you content on a daily basis, so subscribe and bear down.